I'm going to be doing this article review from the Toronto Star that just came out yesterday about how Ottawa is going to tackle the incredible and soaring housing prices in Canada, because I love when a government gets involved in a market. It means that things are going to get better. Let's get into it. The federal government's budget will put $10 billion into breaking the back of unaffordable housing. I don't like the rhetoric of breaking the back. Government sources tell the Star that the budget sets in motion a plan to double the pace of housing construction by the end of the decade, slap a ban on foreigners buying Canadian homes, set up tax-free savings accounts for prospective first-time home buyers, and put billions into affordable housing for low-income families. All right. There was a plan that came out 2, if not 3 years ago that had to do with first-time home buyers in Canada and the Canadian government taking a stake in the home that you are purchasing. That clearly solved the affordability issues in this country. On top of that, we have a banning of foreign buyers buying Canadian homes. I'm not convinced, because I believe that if I am taking my money out of Venezuela and I'm coming to Canada and I want to buy some real estate, I'm going to find a way to do it. It may be through a trust. It may be through a Canadian national. It may be through a lawyer. It may be through a corporation. I don't know what it is, but I think that the loopholes on this one are going to be massive. I'm not convinced that they're going to be banning foreign people from buying homes in Canada. I know there's some countries that do it. I don't know. I don't think that this is going to. We'll see. We'll see. Set up tax-free savings accounts for prospective first-time home buyers. Yeah, well, they were doing that already. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what this one means. And affordable housing for low-income families. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. It's the single biggest spending item in Thursday's budget, a carryover from the Liberals' election platform, which survived despite all the rethinking around the war in Ukraine, rampant inflation, and the surprising persistence of the pandemic. This is very much a housing budget, one government source said. For good reason. Even before the pandemic, home prices were climbing. Out of reach for young people and newcomers in many urban areas, the pandemic took that trend and set it on fire, with house prices climbing almost 30% nationally in the past year alone. 30% is bonkers, okay? I was looking at the house sales just in Edmonton, and they are completely off the charts for what has historically been going on over the past 10 years, I believe, is I think what the chart went to. But it is getting stupid out there, to be honest with you. 30% climb is in any market is worrying, to say the least. One thing I'm seeing a lot of people doing is they're like, well, I'm going to sell my house and I'm going to make money on it. Here's the issue if you're doing that into the same market that you currently live in. Let's say I sell my house in Calgary and I go to purchase another house in Calgary. The overall market conditions mean that I am purchasing into a more expensive house. So I am taking the money that I made over here and putting it over here and expecting that I'm going to make more money. Possibly. I mean, it is possible. However, you're purchasing into the exact same market. Now, with real estate, the thing that I do enjoy is that markets are nuanced. So neighborhoods can even kind of take this out of the equation. If I'm moving from one neighborhood to another, you might actually make money by doing so. Maybe I'll do another video about that in the future. Now, real estate is the source of many layers of uncomfortable inequality between rural and urban. I'm not sure we're really concerned about that one, because them rural people, of which I want to become one eventually, I don't think they're really concerned about living in city centers. What else we got here? Between homeowners and renters, yeah. Between young and old, always has been, between newcomers and the established. I mean, always has been as well, despite a recent and slight cooling off of some housing markets. I'm not sure which markets have been cooling off in Canada. I will do a little bit more research on that. The affordability issue is widespread and is creating very significant wealth and inequality issues that will stay for the long term, says Jimmy Jean, the chief economist at Desjardins Capital. I am sure the government will be able to fix those inequality issues. Right now, he says, the easiest path to getting into home ownership is to have a rich parent, which is, I mean, that is true. I do see some co-signing going on with people that are purchasing houses and such. The thing that you got to be concerned about is like your monthly payment. Like if I'm buying $1 million house and my parents are co-signing on it, can I afford the monthly payment? I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. The issue with our culture these days is that we're so worried about the installments. Like if my head is slightly above water, I know I'm drowning if the water line is at my forehead, but if my head is slightly above water, I'm doing fine, right? And I mean, people will push this pretty far. A lot of people, when they're purchasing a house, they purchase like to the utmost extent of what they're possibly able to afford. And it's not always such a good idea. That has to change, and the Liberals hope that after several budgets that nibbled at the edges of the housing market, I don't know if that's even true, this time it's different. Government sources say that the goals of the housing package are to dramatically increase construction activity and the supply of middle-class new homes, to help first-time buyers save for down payments, and to make sure the country's growing population, fueled in part by immigration, can be housed near where they work. Well, I know that in Toronto, you can't purchase a house within city limits for, an affordable price. So this can't be true. The issue is that where are you going to build this affordable housing? Like in city markets right now, you're going to be building it on the outskirts, and then you're kind of negating the challenge of being near where you work. Difficult. And specifically, if you build it in certain neighborhoods, you also run the risk of like hurting neighborhood value and all of that too. So middle class new homes. I don't know if there's going to be a middle class in this country here in a few years, to be honest with you. The package has a collection of spending, tax incentives, new rules, and plans to study prickly problems further. Okay. $4 billion in incentives for municipalities to accelerate their permitting and approvals of home building. I will say that permitting and that stuff is just so terrible. It takes forever to get permits and such. My parents were looking at building something. This was 10 years ago. And I remember the process being just excruciatingly long. They never ended up building it because it was just such a process. With the goal of building 100,000 more units over the next 5 years. On the affordable housing side of the equation, insiders feel they have already put a lot of money into that space, but there will be $1.5 billion for new affordable housing through the Rapid Housing Initiative that was inspired by the pandemic. That's a key demand of the NDP in return for supporting Liberals in the House of Commons. Yes, the NDP/Liberal Party of Canada. Just anecdotally, from what I'm seeing, people want single-family homes. They don't really want to live in condos right now. And I don't know when that trend's going to reverse. Condos just seem a little bit less attractive currently. I'm sure eventually things will come around, but you're building into what's not trending currently. There will be $1.5 billion for construction and renewal of cooperative housing. There you go. Refundable tax credit for homeowners to renovate their homes. Design a new suite in their homes for their aging parents, for example, would be able to claim 15% of up to $50,000 in renovation costs for a maximum of $7,500 per project. Methinks that people are not going to be housing their aging parents and rather will be looking for rental income to offset the cost of their mortgage on a monthly basis. And for first-time home buyers who are having trouble saving for a down payment, the government is creating a tax-free home savings account that combines the type of tax brackets that we see in RRSPs and TFSAs. In other words, up to $8,000 a year can go into that account, tax-free, and be withdrawn tax-free as well. Interesting. That is interesting because that is creating almost an additional avenue for, so in the US, there's something called the Roth IRA, and I can't remember what the other one is, but anyway, we have similar things in Canada being RRSPs and TFSAs. TFSAs being tax-free savings accounts where you can put money away and invest it, and that money is tax-free. The RRSPs are kind of more for like retirement. But I do believe you can already pull money out of an RRSP tax-free for your first home. So that sounds a little bit interesting to me. Are they going to allow the two accounts to commingle when you're buying a home? I don't know. There's not enough information here. Renters will see the Canada housing benefit enriched as required. I don't know what that means. I don't know. But just as important as the $10 billion in spending, the tax initiatives here are the new rules. This is interesting. This is where things get interesting. The federal government will move to ban foreign investment in Canadian housing for the next 2 years. Okay. The aim is to dampen speculation in the markets that may be driving prices up beyond the reach of people who actually live here. Yeah, well, the issue is that, again, as I said in my opening comments, I don't think that this is going to be effective for one of many reasons, but I think that people that are coming and moving their money into Canada, we missed the boat on that one by about 15 years, but yeah, they're probably sophisticated. They're probably going to figure out a way to do it. And there's many ways of doing it. I always running a real estate brokerage, we have to do something called FinTrack, which is the anti-money laundering and terrorist funding, paperwork and everything, and reporting. I always kind of laugh because by the time that the money comes into the real estate market, it's already been like washed. It's already been cleaned. It's already been, it's good to go in technical terms, right? So if you're taking your money and putting it directly into real estate, you're probably an idiot. But also, like, I've never dealt in cash. I have never dealt in Bitcoin. I have never dealt in any of that sort of thing. And I don't know how often it's really seen. Maybe in some of these booming markets, but I've never seen it. I don't know if any of my associates have seen it. I don't know. I should ask, but it's something I've never seen. There will a commitment to develop a home buyer's bill of rights. I guess there will be. That will prevent blind bidding so that everyone who bids on a house knows what others are bidding to. The rules will also seek to ensure the true buyers are known and fully transparent and not hiding behind a real estate agent or facade. I mean, this hiding behind a real estate agent or facade, I don't know what the author is saying here because, I mean, if you're being helped by a real estate agent, okay, sounds good, but you're not hiding anything because your name's on the contract when you're purchasing it. Are real estate agents purchasing houses and then flipping? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I'm not super well versed in this. Doesn't seem to happen in our markets, at least, because it's a legal contract. You take it to a lawyer. The lawyer has to okay it and everything. And the parties of the contract are on the contract. The blind bidding thing is interesting to me because, first of all, like, how we deal with offers is that if there's a multiple offer scenario, you give them a time and a place to bring their best and final offer, and then you go from there. There's really not like bidding. It's not an auction style, at least in Alberta. I know that there are some markets in the world that are like auction style, Australia being one of them, but I'd have to, again, this article is lacking detail. It needs a little bit more context and information. More importantly, the new rules will also deter property flipping. If you buy and sell a property in under 12 months, you'll be hit by a tax stiff enough to make you think twice. Now, this is very interesting to me because if you are purchasing a house and purely speculating on the price going up, I can see some validity to this. However, most people that I know that flip houses are adding value to the house, or they're doing something to facelift the house or make it last longer, make it a new product almost entirely. So I don't see the relevance in doing something to hurt these people that are actually making a market better. A lot of the time that I see house flipping, they're taking a old property, they're going in, they're gutting the property, they're doing a bunch of retrofits, making it more energy efficient, making it more attractive for the neighborhood, increasing property values. I don't see what's wrong with doing something like this. So I will follow this point. I'm very interested to see where they take this one. And they'll commit to studying how corporate residential companies are buying up large quantities of housing and lumping them together in speculative investment funds rather than leaving the real estate market for individuals looking to live somewhere. I guess. I don't know. Again, we're increasing regulation here now, so that investing in properties becomes more and more difficult to do. So you're almost in the effort to make things less unequal, you are creating inequalities. What are you going to do? Are you going to dissolve the current real estate investment trusts and such so that everybody can have an equal footing in this? No, you're not. So I don't know about this one either. Will it be enough? No. That depends on politics, the labor market, and the broader economy. Legislation will be required for some of these measures. It will come soon, but will still require debate in the House of Commons. Labor and materials will be required for all those construction plans to actually get off the ground. Although the budget will also contain some measures to help with recognition of credentials and labor mobility. Don't know what that means. And while we're waiting for all that construction permitting, saving, and renovating to take off, the Bank of Canada is raising interest rates in the face of overheated inflation, driving up the cost of carrying a mortgage. That will undoubtedly dampen demand for homes well before the federal plans for increasing supply kick in. I have heard that the U.S. is very hawkish on rate increases this year, and we could expect somewhere between 75 and 150 basis points, perhaps even more, on the mortgage interest rate increases. And that will be very interesting to see how people can carry on if these rates increase as such. Regardless of near-term dynamics, there are major forces at work in the Canadian economy that demand a significant rethink by government authorities and homeowners alike. Our population is growing steadily, and the gap between what homes we will need and what we have is large. Yeah, there is definitely a massive demand and not enough supply to meet it right now, and we are in a seller's market in a lot of provinces and cities in Canada. The model with everybody owning a home, it's probably unsustainable. All right, so this whole article is pretty much like speculation on what is going to happen to our real estate market going forward because of legislation. I'm interested to see. I don't think that any sort of regulation is going to really stifle what's going on because people are going to find a way. They really don't want this real estate market to tank. Real estate in Canada is coming up on 20% of our GDP. And that is frightening in and of itself because what are we producing in this country anymore? I don't know where this is going to go. I'm going to keep you guys updated on this, and if there are further articles that come out about what legislations and such come into place, we'll talk more about it. But as a preliminary article, I'm very skeptical of seeing what the government is going to do here to kind of stifle what's going on in our real estate markets. So until next time, if you enjoyed this commentary, just give me a follow, give me a like, and comment on this video. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm always open to hearing what everybody else is thinking about this crazy market in these crazy times that we're living in. So till next time, thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one.